I've worked on a lot of big regenerations. I think it's really important to understand the enabling phase where you're assembling land, putting in infrastructure. In our case, there was a lot of remediation, flood risk assessment. We had to get town planning. We opened a station, we opened a school. So there were lots of things to put in place. We then got the government funding for the 190 or so million pounds to put in further infrastructure. So I would say that that was really important that the council could take that leadership role.
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge sponsored by Redloft and Lovell. And I'm visiting a different council every month to find out what works and what needs to change to get more homes built. And this month, I'm in the London borough of Enfield. And I'm about to visit Jennifer Offord, who is the head of Meridian Water at Enfield Council, to find out more about this amazing scheme.
So I'm Jenny Offord. I'm the recently appointed head of Meridian Water, but I've actually worked on the project for 3 years now. So really excited on our new challenge. I worked at Homes England before, but I was looking for a site where we're delivering homes. And yeah, this is a great project for that.
So you wanted to get involved in actually delivering those homes rather than the kind of policy making?
I love the strategy side, but it's great to be able to go to Meridian Water Station and see the homes coming out the ground. Yeah.
So Meridian Water, an enormous scheme that the council took on itself. Yeah. There's a perception out there that the council took on too much. How do you respond to that?
I've worked on a lot of big regenerations. I think it's really important to understand the enabling phase where you're assembling land, putting in infrastructure. In our case, there was a lot of remediation, flood risk assessment. We had to get town planning. We opened a station, we opened a school. So there were lots of things to put in place. We then got the government funding for the 190 or so million pounds to put in further infrastructure. So I would say that that was really important that the council could take that leadership role. I think we're now in a different phase of the project. I think it helps to break the project into different component parts and have a plan for each one. And I think that's what we're doing now.
And can you paint a picture of the scheme as a whole? Like, how big is it?
Well, overall, we've got ambitions as a council to deliver 10,000 homes, but that will take many, many years. I'm sure that I won't be here when the final home is constructed and residents move in. So we've got the big picture vision, but then within that, we've got our first phase where we're working really well with Vistry. It's been on the ground for a few years, and I think they've already developed about 300 homes, and we've got 900 more under construction. So they're our first partners. And then we've got a planning for a second exciting phase. So there's 2,300 homes that also have planning permission, outline planning. So that takes a bit of time to come forward. And then between those two sites, there's an IKEA store that's a really exciting meanwhile use at the moment. And then probably a house builder will come forward there as well, get their own planning permission, and then that will come to life. And if that's not enough, we've also got industrial land. So we've got 18 hectares of industrial land in our final phase. It's the council's phase 3, but it's the final quarter of the site. But that has strategic industrial land allocation. So we've got to work really well with the planners to work out the right mix of whether it's employment or homes. But that's an overview of the complexity.
It's huge. Yeah. How confident are you that that's actually going to be delivered, and what gives you the confidence that you have?
Well, I think we're already seeing some of it come out the ground. So welcome anyone to come and visit Meridian Water and see what we've already done. By about next Christmas time, the 2 parks should be there as well. So there's an extra draw. And I think because we know we've put the infrastructure in, we've done a lot of the heavy lifting, which means that I've worked for a house builder before, and I think we've overcome some of the big obstacles that caused delay. So yeah, I have a lot of confidence that the site can come forward both for homes and for jobs.
And I've seen schemes where the park and the sort of soft infrastructure comes second, and you spend months, if not years, with all the houses being built and people living there, but it doesn't really feel like a place until those soft bits go in.
So I think what excites me about working on Meridian Water is that we've put that infrastructure in first. In some ways, I feel bad that I've joined the project maybe a decade in when others have done all that planning work. And then finally, we'll have those big social infrastructure pieces. You're right, it is what residents worry about when they move into a development. Will everything be there for it to function and work? And I think all that thought that we've put in will overcome that. So yeah, that is partly what attracts me to this project.
So it's possible to criticise the council for being slow at delivery, and we should have left this to the market to deliver Meridian Water. What do you think would have happened if it had been left to the market, and how do you respond to criticism of the council being slow?
I think this is a previously developed site which is quite complex and complicated. So I think if left to the market, you wouldn't have homes at Meridian Water. So I think it was really important that the council took the role that it did. But I'd also say where we are now, the way that the council is thinking is trying to tap into developers' expertise. I've worked for Redrow in the past as one of the house builders, and maybe that's the reason why they've invited me to be part of the team. And it has quite strong links to people with experience. So there's people inside the council that have been really involved in the sort of development pipeline, bringing it forward as fast as possible. But also the way that we will work is bringing in the right partners and rather than treading on their toes, just trying to find that common ground, making sure that we are aligned in our expectations, we've got really strong communication, but maybe leaving the builders to do what they do and sort of bring the homes out of the ground.
What has the organisation, the council, learned about what it would do differently if it was starting again? What were the tough lessons? Because that's what's important to share with other councils.
I think this is difficult because I really think the people that were there at the time will have taken the decisions based on what they knew. And especially if you're talking about pre-COVID,
of course,
things were so different then, whereas the market right now is so challenging. So I don't so much want to look back as look at what does good look like for future decisions maybe. I suppose if you're working for a council, then resident expectations is a core consideration, and we're all motivated to put that first. But possibly as councils as well, we also really want to understand the sort of investment market. We went to an Opportunity London event in the week, and they were explaining that investors have their set processes and they need really definite information. So we're maybe geared up to have more of a local sort of promotional face. And one of the things that we talk to others about is how do you package that up into something that's easy to understand for an investor? And one of the challenges is each one of the investors has a different requirement. So you can't just have one brochure that speaks to all the different audiences. I think as officers, we understand that. We know that we've got to talk to different people, but how you actually do that so that it kind of lands with the investors is difficult. And I think that is where we rely on experienced advisors. So in our case, we've gone out to Savills because we understand they're looking nationally at this as a picture. And also they've got a really good understanding of London. So they'll be able to tell us sort of how to fine tune our messages and also lead some of those conversations themselves where they're more geared up with the language and the sort of the stats really needed to attract people. Yeah.
So with the council in charge, it's not just about delivering units, is it? It's about something more than that. So what's the social impact of what you're doing, and how is the council ensuring that that happens?
So one of the core objectives of Meridian Water is to benefit local people, and we're really conscious of needing to communicate that as well. So while we're approaching maybe £30 million of local spend, we have to turn that into something meaningful. So engaging local businesses is really critical. We've actually found that one of our suppliers, Taylor Woodrow, so probably one of the biggest construction companies, has actually been really brilliant at engaging the local businesses and the local workforce that it employs contractually from the beginning to compel them to invest back in the community. We also have really tailored apprenticeship opportunities. So we'll trial work experience, and in several cases that's opened up into long-term opportunities for people because we've really taken the care to sort of tailor the experience to that person, and also thinking about their travel costs and not expecting people to be able to turn up for free. We've really got to make it realistic and give them the support when they get there. We've also done some brilliant community projects. So we've got a community garden. We've also got a skills academy on the site. But 2 weeks ago, I went to the opening of a school playground. So this wasn't a contractual social value commitment that the council had specified. This is where we challenged our big contractor to come up with a project. And then every time they brought a new supplier on, they got them energised with the idea.
Okay.
So we ended up bringing specialists, maybe they were structural specialists or landscapers, to all get together and work for almost a year with a local school, carefully picked, and we got to see it open. You might find it online the other day, and it was principally designed by a school child who got to see their vision come to life. And that's the kind of social value care that we take, maybe because we're a council bringing forward this big development.
Well, and are there other kind of intangible benefits that as a council, you're able to make sure that this scheme delivers?
I've often observed developers that really believe in apprenticeships. The future of construction relies on bringing new people into the workforce. But if they're individual companies, they can pilot in, they don't know the area, they'll phone the first head teacher that they know, and then they'll only have a limited time to have an impact. As a council, we've got a head teachers board, and we're able to look at this over the decade, really. So as the children are growing up, we can have long-term partnerships, and that can pass through from one developer to another, so that it isn't just sort of ad hoc mini projects. It actually has lasting impacts and hopefully attracts people to join construction in the broad range of skills that is as well.
And it really binds that development into that community, doesn't it? If the schools as institutions are involved rather than just a single year or a single teacher or a single pupil.
Yeah, and one of our contractors even joined the board or the trustees of the school to become part of it. But then we need to think they're only here for a couple of years themselves. So what will happen next? So we're always trying to think about the legacy as well as the immediate impact.
And how are you going about measuring the impact that the scheme has so that you can hold up a piece of paper and say, this is what it's worth to us as a community?
So I think us as the Meridian Water team are so proud because we've been counting things, counting the data and also capturing the stories. But I would be honest, I'm not sure that message is always landing to local people. I think we've been good at sharing it amongst ourselves and maybe as examples to other developers. But I think there's more that we can do to link up through the council's reach to make this meaningful. And that's the reason Enfield Council, I believe, is reviewing their social value policy to make sure that we're looking at it as a whole rather than just inward looking as Meridian Water.
And also it becomes quite jargony, doesn't it, quite quickly?
I don't think it does when you show photos of the things that we're doing. So I think it is really engaging and inspiring. And we have now local ambassadors, I guess, who've been through it. So it's the good news is there, but it is how you just touch those individuals. Part of it is going into schools, but it's the wider work that we need to do.
So the lifetime of this project is enormous. And during that lifetime, it's a building site and it's distressing to see and it's annoying and in the way for people. So how do you make use of that site?
That's a really good point. I think you can't just have hoarded mud sitting in sitting there for a decade and everyone wondering what's happening behind the hoarding. So we haven't done that at Meridian Water, and two really brilliant examples that we've got are the reuse of the IKEA building by Broadwick. So this is a massive venue. It operates daytime as well as music events and others, and so it's bringing 15,000 people a time to Meridian Water, which I think is part of this creating a place. Years ago, people wouldn't have heard of Meridian Water. Now we've got this train station and an attractor like that. And we've also kept the important IKEA building, which is what loads of people recognise. So that's one example. And then the second is the blocks workshops. So this is reusing an old building in our industrial area, and they do pretty impressive stuff, renting out place for craftsmanship, and they've got a whole range of materials and machinery that people can book. And it's a community in itself, which is supporting the make and create element of Meridian Water, as well as our community garden and our skills academy as well. So if people are looking for ideas for Meanwhile, do come and talk to us, because it does bring financial challenges with it as well to sustain these uses. But I think it's definitely worth it to create a place.
So the IKEA building that you've mentioned, as I understand it, that's going to become new homes eventually. And I've heard an argument that there should be more homes on that building than the council is proposing. And why are we building a whole new town in Cruise Hill when we could put more homes on this old IKEA site? What's your response to that?
I think my first response is the scale of the challenge. We're talking about million homes here plus. So I don't think it can be or to solve that problem. I think that's number one. So I think I would like people to trust us that at Meridian Water we are doing our best to get the right level of homes. We've got this big ambition for a large number of homes, so we will deliver those in the best way that we can. But we're using the planning process. You can catch the detail online. It's all recorded. It's all really transparent. And the council put forward their case towards the inspector, as does the developer, and then they will set the strategic framework through planning, but then the planning application follows. So it really is on, I would say, the applicant to justify what they're saying and demonstrate the right number of homes for that place alongside open space and schools. But because we've already put some of it in, the train station as well, I think there's a really good scheme in there. And I think it just needs to go through the process of the design developing, them talking to the community, doing the community engagement. And I think we'll get to a really good development in a few years' time. These things just take time to work through, but it isn't an either or. We need both.
And
yes, exactly. Yes, and
Give us an idea of the timescales involved until the completion of Meridian Water, and an understanding of how you cope with the degree of change in the market over that timescale. I mean, you've been through crests and troughs, and there'll be more crests and troughs. In the meantime, you've got to keep delivering. How do you manage that?
I mean, the completion of a place, I think places will continue to evolve through time. So I think it's about not looking at it like that and maybe having we have 30, 60-day plans all the way through to 3-year plans, a 10-year budget. So it's just looking at what we can control and making sure that we're being really collaborative in how we do each step. I think it would be overwhelming. And there is sometimes pressure for me to present a finished drawing of Meridian Water. I don't know if this is news, but I think that's beyond my capability to show you what the final scheme will look like
because
at the end.
Will be when.
I don't think that's helpful. So I think what's better is that we just have a framework that we explain to people and it can morph and then adapt to the market. It is really, really difficult at the moment, but luckily we are the council and we are delivering affordable homes. So a huge number of the homes at Meridian Water can be driven by our own homes team. And that's how we've managed to keep the scheme going, which will then bring in the build to rent investors that will then establish Meridian Water as a known place. So we can, I think, continue through difficult times in a way that maybe a developer wouldn't be able to do.
And maybe one of the benefits of having a scheme of this scale over this duration is that you don't have to pay so much attention to any individual difficulty.
That's right. And I think it's just about always continuing. So at the moment, our infrastructure project is keeping us really busy. So the market doesn't necessarily affect that. With that, we have more challenges about technical challenges, flood risk and these kind of things. So really that's what we're thinking about. And I think that's only because we're such a big project, we're able to sort of tune out the rest of it a little bit, as long as we're getting good advice from agents about how we present ourselves and bring in other investors as well. Yeah.
Jenny, thank you very much indeed for your role in getting 1.5 million new homes built.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
That's it for another episode from 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Lovell. And we're going to be back with more from Enfield, even more from Enfield, in a couple of days. So stay tuned, hit subscribe, and do hit like and tell us you like what we're doing. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.